from Angkasa Puri, I'm Shuhaida Arifin and you're watching News at 10. Making the headlines tonight. Cabinet to discuss possible response against rising COVID cases from overseas. Academicians welcome to help mitigate rising living costs. The Cabinet will be having a meeting tomorrow to discuss possible preventive measures to curb the increase of COVID-19 cases from overseas, particularly China. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said any decision made regarding preventive measures such as restricting entry to foreign travellers must be a joint decision by all relevant ministries and agencies.
Langkah-langkah tambahan berkenaan dengan pengembara dari luar negara sebenarnya perlu diperbincangkan secara yang lebih komprehensif, bukan hanya melibatkan KKM tetapi juga oleh ministeri-ministeri lain, kementerian-kementerian lain, begitu juga interagensi. Sebab ini adalah satu tindakan yang terbaik bagi saya, yang ia harus diberikan input oleh semua stakeholders yang terlibat. Okay? Dan ini termasuklah kita kena melihat dari pelbagai aspek, termasuk dari sudut ekonominya, dari sudut pelancongannya.
Speaking to reporters after her visit to the Crisis Preparedness and Response Centre to KLRA today, Dr. Zaliha said she was satisfied with her ministry's current preparedness level. She also said that Malaysians must be concerned and take note of MOH recommendation and make sure that they, as citizens, follow those recommendations. Two Omicron variants of COVID-19, namely BA.5.2 and BA.7, which made up about 80% of the variants currently infecting China, have been detected in Malaysia since 16 March and 21st August last year, respectively. Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the first case of BF7 detected on 21st August was a case of local infection, while the second on 6 September was a case of imported infection from Turkey, and the third on 7 October was another case of local infection. Elaborating further on the matter through a Facebook posting, the Health DG said at a global level, for the BA.5.2 variant, the peak transmission period was around September to October 2022, with most cases detected in countries such as South Africa, England, China and the United States. For the BF7 variant, the peak of transmission was in October 2022 and were mostly detected in countries like Belgium, England, Denmark and China. Yesterday, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said, as of 31st December last year, there were 4,148 cases of BA.5.2 variant and 3 cases of BF7 variant infections in the country. Professors and academics under the National Council of Professors (NPN) are invited to help and share their ideas and knowledge on the cost of living issues for the well-being of the people. The invitation was made by Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi in a posting on Facebook after receiving a courtesy call from the NPN delegation led by its chairman, Distinguished Professor Dr. Shamsul Amri Baharuddin today. Professor Dr. Shamsul said, with the expertise and knowledge of the academics and cluster that is available under the MPN, many data studies, research and ideas can be shared for the development of the nation. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Dr. Zahid said the main issue discussed during the meeting with the MPN today was more on the matters concerning the Ministry of Rural and Regional Development, KKDW, which he leads, especially involving technical and vocational education and training TVET. He said he welcomed the suggestions made by the MPN during the meeting, which lasted over 2 hours, and would ensure that the agencies under the ministry would continue to be empowered, especially in the TVET sector. The Deputy Premier also hoped that the session of sharing and celebrating opinions from these academics will continue to be held because this kind of meeting is a new corridor in an effort to get the latest input needed in ensuring that the national administration policy always meets the aspirations of the people. Home Minister Dato' Seri Saifuddin Sultan Ismail has confirmed Pakistani journalist Syed Fawad Ali Shah has been repatriated to Islamabad. He explained that Fawad was sent home last August following a diplomatic request by the Pakistani government. The media has reported Fawad to be a reporter, but Pakistani authorities has alleged that he was a former police personnel who was facing disciplinary issues.
Media kita hari ini memperkenalkan beliau atau mengenali beliau sebagai wartawan. Ya. Tapi kalau ikut versi rasmi daripada pihak kerajaan Pakistan, beliau adalah bekas anggota polis, ya, yang ada beberapa kes disiplin. Okey, ya. Ini saya petik daripada sumber kerajaan Pakistan. Seawal minggu ketiga bulan 8, beliau telah dihantar pulang ke Islamabad. Itu status dia sekarang mengikut rekod kita, ya.
Speaking at an event in Kajang, he said previously Fawad's wife Saida alleged that her husband, who was in Malaysia for over 10 years, had went missing since 23rd August. Meanwhile, efforts to redevelop several old prisons are currently underway, especially those that were built in the 18th century. Dato' Seri Saifuddin Sultan said the decision was made to establish a conducive environment for the staff and other personnel in the prisons department. The redevelopment efforts will be conducted on Penjara Kamunting Perak, Penjara Alustar Kedah, Penjara Pengkalan Cepa Kelantan and Penjara Reman Pulau Pinang.
Perbincangan dengan unit kerjasama awam swasta UKAS telah pun berjalan dan kita telah kenal pasti juga beberapa premis penjara yang termasuk dalam kategori itu. Ya, bilangannya, lokasinya itu sudah pun bukannya kita baru mula, sudah pun berjalan proses perundingan itu. Ini sebahagiannya. Kalau diberi pilihan, kalau ada keupayaan dana, of course kita nak tukar sekelip mata aja. Ya, tapi kita harus realistik bab ini. Tentang ada keperluan, ya, ada kekangan dana, ya, tapi perancangan harus dimulakan sekarang.
He said this after a visit to the prisons department in Kajang. Deputy Prime Minister Dato' Seri Fadilah Yusof today visited the Malaysian Rubber Council MRC, an agency under his ministry which is in charge of promoting Malaysian quality rubber and rubber products. Dato' Seri Fadilah, who's also the Minister of Plantation and Commodities, had the opportunity to visit the MRC gallery, which features information about Malaysian rubber products as well as MRC's successes. During the visit, he was introduced to the structure and functions of the MRC in carrying out its mandate as an implementing agency that plays an important role in the development of the country's rubber industry. The agency is particularly involved in matters related to the marketing of quality and sustainable rubber products. The Deputy Premier was also briefed on MRC's most recent initiatives, efforts and plans as part of a series of visits to get to know all the agencies under the Ministry of Plantation and Commodities MPC. This is important in order for MRC to continue to assist the rubber industry in identifying the next opportunity to expand and access the rubber market through market promotion and development. State development, flood mitigation and road maintenance were some of the matters discussed by Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syahri during his courtesy call on Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim at the latest office in today. The meeting between the two leaders lasted for an hour in Putrajaya. Dato Seri Amiruddin, in his post on his official Instagram, said his courtesy call to the Prime Minister was to inform the latter of the aspirations of the Selangor people for better cooperation between the state and federal governments. During the meeting, Dato Seri Amiruddin said he also informed Dato Seri Anwar of Selangor's achievements in 2022, which included its revenue collection of 2.53 billion ringgit, exceeding the target of 2.05 billion ringgit. In expressing his gratitude to the Prime Minister for providing him with important inputs for Selangor's development, Dato Seri Amiruddin said he also invited Dato Seri Anwar to come to Selangor for an official visit. The Kelantan chapter of Malaysia Civil Defence Force APM has prepared its personnel to be in a state of readiness and made logistical preparations to cope with a possible second wave of flooding due to the current northeast monsoon. Kelantan APM Director Colonel PA Muhammad Azhar Mujab said this was to ensure that APM would be able to discharge its duties well in the event of flooding. According to Muhammad Azhar, currently Kelantan APM has 1,300 personnel who are ready to move into action when the technical department issues the flood notice.
Okay, buat masa ni Jabatan Meteorologi Malaysia belum memberi apa-apa amaran atau notis. Jadi melalui kita lihat di lapangan pun cuaca hari ini nampak mendung. Cuma berkaitan dengan persediaan, semua dinasihatkan untuk bersedialah sebab berkenaan dengan hujan dan ramalan-ramalan ini akan disampaikan melalui notis-notis ataupun daripada Jabatan Teknikal sendiri, Jabatan Meteorologi Malaysia.
He told this to reporters after a ceremony to hand over aid to flood victims at Masjid Warisan Kampung Lobok Gong in Rantau Panjang today. Still to come, Max Palm Oil Price Scheme extended until 7 February. Stay tuned. The maximum price scheme for bottled pure palm cooking oil, which was supposed to end this Saturday, has been extended to 7th February. Domestic Trade and Living Cost Minister Datuk Seri Salahuddin Ayub said the existing maximum price scheme was able to be maintained despite the average global price of crude palm oil CPO has increased last month. The decision was made following an agreement by all palm oil producers to collaborate with the government to help reduce the cost of living burden for the rakyat. 1 kilogram of bottled pure palm cooking oil is currently sold at a price of RM6.90. Meanwhile, 2 kilogram bottles are sold at RM13.30 each, 3 kilogram bottles at RM19.60 each, while 5 kilogram bottles are sold at RM30.90 each. The price control was implemented according to the flexible ceiling method based on the average CPO global prices. Parties found to be selling the goods higher than the maximum determined price can be subject to legal action. Foreign investors turned net sellers in the last trading week of 2022, offloading shares worth RM204.6 million against a net buy of RM51.2 million in the next prior. MIDF research said it was a shortened trading week due to the Christmas holiday, with the foreign investors starting off the week on a positive note by net buying RM10.1 million on Tuesday, as well as RM99.2 million on Wednesday. However, the amount net bought was inadequate to overturn the profit-taking that took place on Thursday at a rate of RM9.8 million and on Friday at RM304.1 million. The top three sectors that saw net foreign inflows were healthcare at RM16.5 million, technology at RM12.3 million, and transportation and logistics at RM7.2 million. The top three sectors that saw net foreign outflows were plantation at RM64.7 million, industrial products and services at RM57.1 million, and financial services at RM46.0 million. MIDF research said local institutions net bought RM290.4 million last week, but during the week ended 23rd December last year, the net sold RM52.1 million worth of equities. The Malaysian Trades Union Congress MTUC has called for the government's intervention to help the 958 Grade 21 part-time employees of the Inland Revenue Board IRB whose contracts were terminated last 31st December. The Congress is also appealing for the employees concerned, who are mostly clerical staff from the B40 group and had been working with IRB for up to 18 years, to be absorbed back to their positions. MTUC Secretary General Kamarul Baharin Mansur said the employees concerned had been informed in June 2022 on the expiry of the contract, but had thought that the contracts would be renewed at the end of the year. The letter was received by Datuk Seri Anwar's Senior Political Secretary, Datuk Seri Syamsul Iskandar Mat Akin, who said the matter would be brought to the Premier's attention. The IRB, in a statement last 29th December, stated that digital transformation was one of the factors for it to continue with the practice of employing monthly and daily contract officers from 1st January this year. It said the transformation enabled most tasks and work functions at IRB to be automated, further increasing the cost of efficiency in administering the country's taxation system. The police have arrested 5 men suspected of committing armed robberies in Pulau Pinang recently. Pulau Pinang Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Syuhaili Muhammad Zain said police arrested 2 local men, 26 and 30, in relation to an armed robbery at a convenience store in Jalan Betik, Bukit Mutajam. During the arrest, police recovered a 38 caliber revolver handgun, 2 bullet casings and 3 bullets from a suspect, and confiscated 2 Yamaha 135Z motorcycles, an SYM motorcycle, a car, 2 mobile phones, a machete, 4 helmets and 2 sling bags.
Dengan tertumpahnya kumpulan ini, pihak polis Pulau Pinang berjaya menyelesaikan 6 kes samun bersenjata api di sekitar daerah seberang perai tengah Pulau Pinang. Kumpulan ini menyasarkan kedai serba neka yang beroperasi hingga lewat malam dan melarikan wang hasil jualan premis dan telefon bimbit.
The case is being investigated under Section 3, Subsection 1 of the Firearms Act and Section 8 of the Arms Act 1960, as well as Section 395, 397 of the Penal Code. Elements of arson and embers are among the main focuses of the Selangor Fire Rescue Department JBPM investigation following the second fire at Wisma Jekyll in Section 7 Shah Alam early this morning. Selangor JBPM Director Datuk Nur Azam Khamis said the investigation is currently focusing on all aspects and will be carried out in depth so that comprehensive information can be obtained. Dato' Nur Azam explained that the department mobilised the services of the Detection Dog Unit K9 to detect any substance that could cause a fire.
Kemudian juga kita melihat kepada peralatan-peralatan elektrik yang digunakan di Wisma Jekyll dan juga bangunan. Kita juga akan memanggil saksi-saksi pada peringkat awal dan juga kita akan menganalisa video-video yang ditularkan.
Speaking to reporters at the scene of the fire at Wisma Jekyll today, he said the department needed a period of 14 days to carry out preliminary investigations and analysis, including obtaining witnesses to the incident. British couple killed in Australian chopper crash at Terima coming right after this. A British couple were among 4 killed in a mid-air collision that left 2 mangled helicopters on a sandbank near an Australian tourist hotspot. SFT Commissioner Angus Mitchell said the helicopter was taking off for a tourist joy flight along Queensland's scenic Gold Coast when its rotor blades smashed into the cockpit of another helicopter coming in to land. Explaining further, he said, in the process of that collision, the main rotor blades and the gearbox of the helicopter taking off have separated from the aircraft, causing it to tragically crash down onto a sandbar. Both helicopters were operating out of SeaWorld, a popular theme park and aquarium. There were 7 people on board the helicopter that was taking off, the pilot and 6 other passengers. 3 adult passengers were killed, police said on Tuesday, alongside pilot Ashley Jenkinson, while the other 3 passengers were in critical condition. All 6 people on the second helicopter survived, which remarkably landed upright nearby despite having its cockpit obliterated. A preliminary report was expected in between 6 to 8 weeks. U.S. Representative Kevin McCarthy struggled to beat back hardline Conservative opposition and secure enough votes to give him the speakership when the new House of Representatives convenes with a narrow Republican majority on Tuesday. After a poorer-than-expected showing in November midterm elections, McCarthy's fellow Republicans have been embroiled in a public brawl over who should lead the party once it assumes control of the House. A group of hardline conservatives opposed McCarthy's candidacy, concerned that he is less deeply vested in the culture wars and partisan rivalries that have dominated the House, and even more so since Donald Trump's White House years. They have criticized the California Republican for not taking a more aggressive stance against Democrats, who under Speaker Nancy Pelosi had been in control on priorities including government funding, defense and border security. Representatives Bob Good and Matt Gaetz are among 5 Republican lawmakers who have said they would not back McCarthy. With a narrow 222 to 213 Republican majority, McCarthy can afford to lose just 4 votes from his caucus to win the 218 he needs, or half of the chamber's 435 members, as no Democrats are likely to vote for him. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro spoke out against Washington's foreign policy blackmail towards Caracas in an interview, calling for the normalization of ties. The interview came after Venezuela's opposition-led National Assembly voted to dissolve an interim government and appoint a commission to oversee the country's foreign assets, including Citgo. A spokesperson for the U.S. National Security Council said President Joe Biden's administration will continue to back Venezuela's interim government regardless of what form it takes. He did not comment on whether that support included extending a key protection to Citgo under the new structure. In the interview, Maduro said the U.S. position towards his government made no sense. Venezuela owns Citgo, a unit of state oil company PDVSA since 2019, has been run by boards appointed by a Congress led by opposition chief Juan Guaido, whom Washington has recognized as Venezuela's legitimate leader and who was ousted last week. While mostly powerless at home, where Socialist President Nicolas Maduro exercises control over nearly all institutions, including security forces, Guaido's government has supervised the country's foreign assets and many embassies. Next in sports, football superstar Ronaldo arrives in Riyadh. Stay with us. Moving on to tennis, Rafa Nadal suffered his second straight defeat at the United Cup Mixed Team Tournament on Monday, falling to Australia's Alex de Minaur as concerns about the world number 2's early season form grew ahead of his Australian Open title defence. Itself in the 11th game, and de Minaur closed out the victory to spark emotional scenes and delight the raucous Sydney fans. Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo arrived in Riyadh late Monday after joining Saudi Arabian club Al Nassr on a 2.5-year contract. The 37-year-old Ronaldo is expected to be formally introduced by his new club at a news conference scheduled later today after a medical exam. Ronaldo departed Old Trafford last month following an explosive television interview in which the forward said he felt betrayed by the club and did not respect the Dutch manager Erik ten Hag. Al Nassr issued a statement saying the five-time Ballon d'Or winner will join a deal until 2025 but did not disclose any financial details. Ronaldo's contract has been estimated by media to be worth more than 200 million euros. Ronaldo said Qatar would probably be his last World Cup as he plans to retire at 40, with a move to Saudi Arabia likely to mark the swan song in the career of one of the game's greatest current players alongside Lionel Messi. The Saudi Arabian club, who have won 9 Saudi Pro Premier League titles, are hoping Ronaldo can help them to win another domestic league title and their first AFC Asian Champions League. However, the Portuguese forward will miss his first 2 domestic games after being banned for knocking a phone out of fans' hand after United's defeat at Everton in April. American rider Mason Klein took the overall lead in the motorcycling category of the Dakar Rally after winning the 430 kilometers second stage. His compatriot Ricky Brabach had led overnight but could post only the 15th fastest time and was 8 minutes 19 seconds slower than KTM rider Klein. Klein had timed 1 minute 9 seconds faster despite coping a penalty than Germany's Sebastian Buller on the stage, with another American Skyler House finishing third 1 minute 13 second adrift. Klein, who finished 9th in the last year's edition, leads Toby Price of Australia, also riding a KTM by 1 minute 41 second, with Spain's Honda rider Juan Barreda third, 2 minute 3 seconds off the pace. The stage took the competitors along the Red Sea coast and then inland to the outskirts of Al Ula. Tuesday's stage will take them toward Ha'il in the northeast. Alright, so that ends news at 10. Wrapping up with a reminder of our top story. Cabinet to discuss possible response against rising COVID cases from overseas. Join us for more updates at 12:30 p.m. tomorrow. Till then, I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and salam perpaduan.